"This is the last gift I'll ever give you," my husband said, pushing divorce papers at me. "I've decided to marry someone else, so thanks for being a money machine until now." The man I had been with for many years turned out to be a terrible person. This is the story of how I got my revenge. My name is Jessica, and I'm turning 50 this year. Tomorrow is special because I'll finally finish paying off a big debt. My husband, Lance, and I have worked really hard together. We got married 20 years ago when I was 30 and he was 35. He ran a liquor store he'd inherited from his parents after they passed away. I worked in an office. We met through a mutual friend and started dating, thinking about marriage from the beginning. I had one worry back then. What if Lance asked me to run the store with him? I was working as a financial consultant, advising individuals and businesses on insurance and investments. I was making good money for a 30-year-old and loved my job. I was also studying for a certification to advance my career when he proposed. He told me, "I know you've been working hard for that certification. I want to support you in any way I can. I have enough staff at the store so I can manage it myself. You should pursue your dreams." His words helped me decide to marry him. He seemed kind and supportive, always on my side. I really wanted to build a life with such a man. As we agreed, he focused on his business and I focused on my work. We thought our marriage was going well. About a year later, he went to work and I was enjoying a day off at home. While vacuuming under the bed, I saw a lot of papers. We had moved in less than 6 months ago, so I wondered why there was such a mess. I picked up a crumpled piece of paper and opened it. The bold header caught my eye. Reminder of payment. The total debt in Lance's name was $200,000. $200,000. Wait, it's not 2,000, is it? My head started spinning. Why did he hide such a large debt from me? I confronted him as soon as he got home that day. "What is this debt? What's going on?" "No, it's not what you think. It was left to me by my parents." The debt was not personal but tied to his liquor store. His parents had accumulated it, and when he took over the business, the debt came with it. It was secured by the land and the house we lived in, so he had no intention of renouncing the inheritance. I understood it wasn't his personal debt, but it couldn't be ignored. "But this is a payment reminder. Aren't you paying it back every month?" I asked. "I am, but sales fluctuate from month to month. Sometimes I can't pay them back during the slow months. I have to pay my staff first, so I asked the creditors to wait." That's when the letter came. At first, his explanation seemed reasonable, but delaying payments was clearly not a good idea. The letter included the words, "Final notice." "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to freak out. Don't worry though, business is on track and we haven't been evicted from the house, right?" That's true, but I looked at him anxiously. Then he mentioned something unexpected. "If you're so worried, why don't you help me pay it off? You are making quite a lot, aren't you?" "Huh?" I wasn't comfortable with where this was going. It wasn't my store. A husband and wife were supposed to help each other, but my debt is also yours, he insisted. That's a bit sudden. Are you okay if my store goes out of business? Many people would be affected if it closed. He was right. His store had become a vital part of the community. It was in the suburbs where there weren't many other shops or supermarkets. He sold fresh foods like meat and fish and even offered home delivery. I had visited the store several times, and it was always busy. Some customers had told me how grateful they were to have it in the neighborhood. "Please, honey, I'm working hard to keep the business going. Please help me pay off my debts." I respected how seriously he took his work and his dedication. I didn't want to see his store disappear. I didn't want that to happen. Being married means supporting each other, so if he was struggling, it felt natural for me to help. "Okay, I'll pay as much as I can from my salary every month. You can focus on managing the store." I could help with the finances, but only he could run the store. I was glad he trusted me to help. However, this was the start of a change in him. About 3 years had passed since I started taking on his debt. He often came home late. "What were you doing until this late? Were you drinking?" "I just had a few drinks with my customers." "Honey, did you make the payment this month?" For some reason, he sounded condescending. "I did last week. Why?" "The store depends on you. You better keep paying on time." When he was drunk, he would give me orders. At first, I thought it was just the ramblings of someone who'd had too much to drink, but it started to bother me when it happened repeatedly. He acted like it was normal for me to handle his debt. By the way, Matt has a third kid now. I envy him. Matt was his high school friend who also had his own business, and his wife worked with him in the store. I've been wanting to talk to you about that. Don't you think it's time for us to start a family? His reaction was very cold. What? A baby? My business has just started to pick up, and we're still in debt. How can we be so irresponsible? That was his response. I tried to keep my frustration in check. Matt has 3 children now, right? We can manage one too. His parents are still around, and his wife works in the store. We're not in the same situation. I couldn't argue with that. I had always dreamed of having children after getting married, but it seemed that dream was slipping away. So, until I pay off all your debts, we can't have a baby. Well, I guess that's how it will be. If you make a lot of money and pay off the debts quickly, I'll consider it. His mean smile disgusted me, but I was eager to pay off the debts as quickly as possible. I was so focused on starting a family that I didn't think clearly about the situation. From then on, I worked tirelessly for Lance. I pursued additional qualifications, took exams for promotions, and secured a salary increase. I started earning much more than most women my age. I even made extra payments, but the debt didn't disappear quickly. Before I knew it, I turned 40 and had to give up on having children. I told myself I still had my husband, and that was enough. He depended on me, and I was willing to do anything for him. As long as I believed that, I remained happy. But Lance started coming home later and later, sometimes not until the morning. I was working in the store one morning when I realized how late it had gotten. I had to go out with a customer, and when I returned, the sun was up. Seeing Lance working so hard to keep the store going made me feel like I had to do my best as a wife too. We were in this together, working toward a better future. Months and years passed, and finally, the day came when I was ready to make the last payment. I had given up all kinds of luxuries to pay off the debt, but now that was over. I could finally use my hard-earned money the way I wanted. I realized that since getting married, I had been so focused on money. We had never taken a vacation or dined at a nice restaurant. Now in our 50s, I hoped we could finally enjoy those things. On the day of the last payment, I took a day off. I made a special dinner, prepared a bottle of wine, and baked Lance's favorite chocolate cake. I wanted to celebrate our new debt-free life together. When he came home from work, I had everything set up and said, "It feels like the last 20 years have gone by so fast, doesn't it?" He seemed to be trembling and kept his head down. I thought he might be crying from happiness, but then he started laughing in a way I had never heard before. "What's going on? Are you okay?" The man who was supposed to be my husband said something shocking. "You are dismissed. I'm grateful for the past 20 years. Thanks to you paying off all my debt, I'm free now. Great job. I don't need you anymore." "What are you talking about?" I was completely confused. Then he pulled something out of his bag. "This is my last present to you." The bold letters on the paper read "Petition for Divorce," and it hit me hard. He continued proudly, "I've decided to marry someone else, so you're no longer useful to me. Thanks for being my cash dispenser all this time." "You're getting remarried? Have you been cheating on me?" I remembered how he always came home late, claiming it was for work or socializing. While I was working hard to pay off his debt, no way. He kept his smug expression. "I would never cheat. I've already found someone else I want to marry. I wanted to wait until you cleared my debt before divorcing you." Tears filled my eyes as I looked at the ruined celebration. "Get out of here." He handed me the divorce papers. My anger flared up faster than my sadness or despair. "Fine, but you won't regret this," I managed to say through clenched teeth. "No, I won't. Why would I regret divorcing an old hag like you?" "An old hag? If I'm that, then you're just an old fart," I shot back. His delusions were so ridiculous that I regained my composure and took the divorce papers. "I'll take these for now, and I'll be in touch," I said as I packed up my things and left. It was shocking how easily 20 years of marriage had come to an end. Alone, I finally let the tears of emptiness and frustration flow. I contacted my attorney for the divorce agreement and asked for a background check on his new bride. Soon after, I got a call from Lance. "Hey Jessica, what's with this document?" He sounded furious, and I could almost picture him fuming on the other end of the line. I stayed calm. "That's the divorce agreement. What's the problem?" "I know what it is, but why do I have to pay you back for this loan?" He sounded panicked and kept yelling, "This is crazy. This isn't right. He was upset about the part of the divorce agreement that required him to repay the money I had covered for his debt. This was supposed to be something you did out of goodwill, wasn't it? Why are you bringing this up now? What do you mean? I did it as your wife, but now that we're divorcing, it's different, I explained. Then the regret you mentioned is, he finally understood. When he asked for a divorce, my immediate thought was to make him repay the debts. My job involved dealing with various clients, including those with divorce and inheritance issues. Through them, I had connections with experienced attorneys. I consulted them right away. The total amount he owed, including the interest I had paid on his behalf, came to a little over $300,000. I was determined to get that exact amount back. That was all I was asking for. He must have realized how serious I was by my firm stance and by seeing the name of a well-known attorney on the document. He had thought he could get rid of his wife without any financial obligations, but he was completely mistaken. You know I don't have much money, he said. Well, why don't we sell the store to cover it? I suggested. If I do that, I won't have anything left. You're like Satan, he retorted. You're only 55. You could still find another job if you needed to, I pointed out. Give me a break, he snapped. My conversation with him was completely nonsensical. I wanted to hang up immediately, but there was one last thing I needed to ask. By the way, how's it going with your new bride-to-be? That's none of your business, he snapped. I couldn't help but laugh at his abruptness. Sounds like you're having a tough time. Good luck, I said as I was about to hang up. Wait, I've decided not to marry her. We can start over, he begged. For some reason, he thought he could plead for another chance. I shouted my final words and hung up. Start over. Don't kid yourself. I don't want you. I had been married to this man for 20 years. I wondered if I looked even more foolish than he did in the eyes of others. I had genuinely respected him until the divorce. I had seen how hard he worked for the store and his customers, and I wanted to support him. 20 years later, I realized Lance was just a fool. The remarriage he talked about was nothing more than a fantasy. It all started when he flirted with a teenage university student who worked part-time at his store. You're so cute, Melissa. Will you be my wife? He asked her. She played along, jokingly saying, well, I might consider it if you let me be a full-time housewife. The truth was, she never took him seriously. The idea of marrying a man nearly 40 years older was just a joke to her. When Lance kept pushing her to marry him, she was horrified. Her parents had to step in and get a restraining order against him. When I read the private investigator's report, I laughed so hard I almost hyperventilated. When Lance started coming home late, I thought he was just working hard. Little did I know, he was actually hitting on young girls at bars and strip joints. He would boast, I'm surprisingly popular with young girls. As a salesman, I have this easy-to-talk-to aura and get along well with them. I'm told I look younger. Don't you think so? The girls apparently found his comments cringe-worthy. He saw me only as a cash dispenser and had an inflated view of himself. In reality, he was seen as a joke and almost got in trouble with the police for being a stalker. It might have been better if he had cheated on me, but he couldn't even manage to have an affair. His real goal was to marry a younger woman because his friend Matt had a grandchild. Matt told me. As soon as he saw my grandchild, he said he wanted one of his own. I scolded him for saying that. You were paying off his debt, and I was very tough on him. But I didn't know he'd go this far. He was completely humiliated. I'm glad I didn't spend my golden years with him, I thought to myself. The divorce was finalized. Since the property division wasn't straightforward, he tried to negotiate for his benefit. But he gave up when he saw my well-known attorney. I was surprised how someone so gutless could stay in business for so long. He ended up selling the store to pay me back. Luckily, his employees had left him before he sold it, so they weren't affected. Many customers were shocked when they learned he was selling the store to repay his ex-wife. His demand for a divorce led to his downfall. The story spread through the community like a comedy. Even if he hadn't sold the store, the bad publicity would have hurt his business. Selling it before going bankrupt was probably for the best. The money from the sale wasn't enough to cover what he owed me, so he still works part-time jobs to repay me. I occasionally get messages from him. It was all my fault. Can we get back together? I was crazy back then because Matt was showing off his grandkid. Despite blocking his number, he kept calling from different phones until my attorney warned him, If you contact your ex-wife any further, we'll file a restraining order. The calls stopped after that. As usual, he's scared of the attorney. By the way, guess what I do now? I'm a marriage counselor. When I turned 50 and wanted a new career, a friend opened a matchmaking business and I joined her. I left my old job to help singles find partners and offer advice on financial matters between couples, like insurance and investments. It's been a success, and the number of clients quickly grew. Couples who want honest and thorough discussions appreciate our unique service. I've learned a lot from my own experiences and don't want others to make the same mistakes I did. Although my salary is a bit lower now, I enjoy helping others find happiness every day. I found my own happiness after getting rid of my ex-husband, and now I'm dedicated to helping others find theirs.